Ready?
Yep.
Okay, welcome back. And we're going to finish part 2 of these springtime birches. Now, I did the rest of these off camera, and I want to do these that are laying down quickly, so we will use the same filbert brush, and they have the gray washed over them already. Now we're going to just do the neutral gray on the tops of them. You don't see much back there. And I'm not going to put too much across the top. Just a little bit of detail. Take it out with my finger if I don't like it, right? A little bit of that neutral gray. And these don't have to be birches. These could be, I'll make this one something else. Maybe that one too. So that you can see how we would do something, a different type of tree branch. But we'll just make these here birches. Just, okay. All right, these two are something different. I'm going to come back and work these a little bit. Not real crazy about how they look, but all right, I'm going to pick up some of that raw sienna, just a little bit of it, because I like it. I'll make this the dark raw umber, and then some raw sienna across the top where the sun might be shining on it. My brush, yeah, just kind of blend those colors a little bit. Time to blend those colors a little bit. Okay. Now I want to go back here just a little bit and put some highlights back in here. Just going to kind of scrub in a few highlights on the light side, and maybe I might even take a little bit of black on my brush, and I mean little bit. Mixed with the dark brown raw umber. And I'm just touching back here. This is distant. We don't want to see a whole lot of detail back here. We'll put a little bit of foliage on it after. All right. I'm going to take a brush that's just a little bit bigger, but it's also a filbert. And I'm going to put a little foliage back on the trees back there. So I think I'm going to start with the darker value and then come in with the lighter. So I'm just tapping on the edge of my brush, 3 hairs and some air, covering up some of those branches, just barely touching, very, very lightly. And I have a few branches that will be covering this from those birch trees, but I want to get this in first, okay? Barely touching, soft, light touch of how maybe you might think that the foliage will be growing. And you can even practice this on newspaper. That's what I used to do when I was first learning how to paint, because I didn't want to mess up the canvases. They're too expensive. And just get a little bit of practice so I didn't have polka dots and just have things all messed up. But practice makes perfect. tapping lightly on the edge of my brush, on the corner, with my darker green. You may not have the same green I have. I'm using chromium oxide green from the Heavy Body Paints. And I mix my acrylics up. I mean, sometimes I use Deco Art Americana, sometimes, the Master's Touch, sometimes from Cheap Joe's, Liquitex, just whatever I can get my hands on. Okay, so there's that. I'm just going to kind of wipe my brush a little bit. I'll close that up so it doesn't dry out. And then pick up some of my light olive green. And it's okay if I still got some of that other dark green in there, that's fine. But in the spring, you do see these really, really light colors. And see how I'm holding my brush on its side and barely touching. And of course it's going to be lighter at the top. I've got it kind of lighter down at the bottom down there, so I might correct that. I hope that you will subscribe to my channel and paint along, do some of these on your own. I'm going to post pictures and a link so that you can download it so you have it right in front of you when you're painting. Haven't done so yet, but I will. As soon as we'll get this uploaded and then get those posted and put links down for you all. So there's the foliage in the background. And I think what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to darken that back up over there. I thought it was just a bit, there we go. Just a little touch. And I'm going to tap in a little bit of green back here. I don't want to cover up all my pretty rocks, but there might be some shrubs back in here. So I'm first of all tapping in the dark green. Got a little bit of light on the brush. I didn't wash out my brush, but that's all right. Now I can go back in with the light and just barely touch. And the thing about acrylic paint, it might look like it's in your face. And then it dries and you wonder where it went. So don't change it necessarily till it dries. But the thing about acrylic, let it dry and reapply. If you try to paint when it's starting to dry, and I did that down here, I didn't try to paint, I touched it with my hand, it will lift the paint off and you can't hardly get anything to stick. So wait for it to dry, okay? And I might have to come back, and put some more light on there, but that's what I've got going on right now. I think I'll pick up a little bit of that neutral gray with that green. And just scrub in a little bit of light back there, which will kind of create the illusion of distance. And then I'll just get right straight into the green. I've got some raw siennas in here. I don't want to cover all that up, and some browns, because there was dirt before there was grass. I don't want to cover all that up. So I just scrub some of this in. And we're going to have grasses up in here too, taller grasses. I just don't want to cover up all those browns, and I don't want to get too much green. There's a teacher here in town for many, many years. He's passed away now, but he used to call it amateur green. Amateur green if you use too much. So kind of be out of those greens sometimes and get a few other colors in there. In fact, might be able to get a little bit of this cadmium yellow. I'm going to use some of that in a bit, but oh yeah, look how pretty that is if I tap just a little tiny bit of cadmium yellow way back there, just to create that illusion of distance and to show that we have different values. When I talk about values, the darkness and the lightness. As it's laying down and things make it prettier. But okay, so I've got my chromium oxide green out again, and I'm just kind of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I don't want to cover up all that brown. I'll pick some more brown up actually, and not cleaning my brush, I've kind of got both colors. And if you got some of that underneath color showing through, that's better yet. That pretty peachy color. Okay. All right. Yeah, you don't want anything too green. All right. Let me finish these logs real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and do the foliage in there. And we're getting there, okay? All right, I'm going to go back to that little bit smaller brush. And put a little bit of raw sienna on those. Maybe lighten that raw sienna with that neutral gray. I'm using the neutral gray actually in place of white, because whites can overwhelm your painting and make it look chalky. And I like to save my whites for a little punch of light at the end that will make your paintings pop. So there, got that. I'm going to touch up this log just a little bit. And give it a little bit more of that neutral gray. I like to even sometimes add a little tiny bit of blue with that neutral gray. And even a little bit of the raw umber with it, so it's not too white. Okay, and I'll just come back in with a little bit of this. There we go. And these logs also that are lying down, I want a light side and a dark side. And kind of, I don't want it to be straight lines, but I want it to be where you can't tell hardly where one color ends and the other begins. And it's better if you use less paint on your brush. Okay, we've got these really dark down here at the base. I'm kind of happy with this. I think I'll do a little bit more right here. We have that nice dark foreground going. And I use just enough water so that my paint will move. And I don't want it too green. We don't want amateur green, right? Okay. I'm kind of liking that. Let's fix that log right there, and then we will be ready to move on. Kind of did that in a hurry. Okay. Pick up some more of that raw umber. Just go along the side, and then I'm just going to kind of pull it. I'm using a very light touch. Very light touch. Now I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of black on my brush because this tree it is behind, and I don't have straight black. I've got black with the brown, but I just want to show when things are behind, they're in shadow, so I made it a little bit darker. Okay, let's get some of that foliage going on. I like foliage. We're gonna, in this one, you notice we've got snow coming up. Now we're gonna have grasses coming up. And so I'm gonna start with the very, very dark raw umber. And like, I can lay my brush down like this, and whenever you use a liner brush, think Venice ink, but you blot it out. Make sure you don't have water dripping out. Now, why is she making all that really dark? You're probably wondering. I'm going to show you why. But that's what I do. I lay my brush down a little bit so that it has a foundation. And we're going to do them all the same, pretty much. So now I'm going to get the green. And I'm working it while it's still wet. You can wait till it gets dry, or a little bit drier if you want to. And so that's the really dark green. Over top of that, wash out my brush and get the light olive green. Make sure you touch it, because you could have water running out and mess up everything. And you just have a bit of a mess. So it's always good to blot. Okay, let's get some more of that dark brown. But he's all interested. All right, I'm gonna tap some down here, and I'm gonna get where it's behind it too, not just in front. See those nice long grasses? Turn it around if you need to. Put a few outside of that area. Because grasses do grow in other areas. Maybe there's some growing up over here. Maybe a little more down here. Not quite as tall. Wherever you think grasses should grow, but keep them where they're not uniform. And practice, like I say, you can practice on newspaper or something cheap so that you're not wasting canvases. So when you get ready to get your canvas out, you know how to do it. All right, I'm going to go into now the chromium oxide green. When you use your liner, okay, now the lighter green. Touch. Cross some of them over each other. And have fun with it. Now we can get a little bit lighter. You could put a little bit of, let's try that. Put a little bit of the gold color, the raw sienna, a couple of those in there if you like. And you know, I might put a couple really, really light color. Take that light olive green with the neutral gray. Oh goodness, look at there. And just get a couple really light ones. Just a couple. I don't want to get too carried away with those. Because I'm going to go now and put in out some yellow. This is cadmium yellow. I just want a little tiny bit. Let's get some yellow flowers in there. And I'm just going to touch. And if you need to, you could add a little bit of white to this yellow. And it might look bright. And then it might kind of fade out, you know, and you wonder where it went. So you might have to do a couple coats. If you add white to it, maybe see what happens if I add neutral gray. I don't want them to look like polka dots, so I kind of lay my brush down and twist and turn it. Lay some closer together, some further away. And as I lose some of the paint off of my brush, I can add a few back here. I don't want it to be real pronounced back here. But you know, flowers don't stop at the foreground. Sometimes they're in the background too. Okay, that's enough of those. Now I've got two more colors that we're going to use very, very quickly, and we are going to be finished. And that is Crimson Violet, or you could use Dioxazine. Put some purple flowers right near the yellow. Why am I doing that? Well, purple and yellow are opposite on the color wheel. They're complementary colors and they look wonderful together. So if you can put purple and yellow together, flowers ever, go for it. Now this is a dark purple. It's not, it'll look kind of dull and not really show up so much. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'll wipe my brush and pick up a little bit of a lighter. This one's a gray purple. You can use whatever light lavender type colors that you have. I'm just barely going to touch this on there. It's almost like a blue. And I don't want to lay my brush totally down because I don't want to make lines. I don't want to make polka dots either. So there we go. And so that's pretty much it on this painting. You could, you know, do a couple shadows under these logs here that are laying down. I just take a wash of my black and I got these. And just kind of put a little shadow under them. And you can fine tune this. I sit in a room and look at things later after painting them and see what I need to do. Oh yeah, I forgot this or that. But anyways, and make it to your liking. It's your painting, your world. Have fun. You know, I decided I was going to add just a few more of the purple flowers and maybe some yellow also right over here in this guy like I did in the last painting. Can't have too many flowers, can you? No, you can't. And then I don't want to mix my purple and gray though, because like I said, they're opposite colors on the color wheel, and if you mix them, you will get a gray. So I'm going to put just a couple more in here and then some branches on these birches, and we will be all done. Okay. Careful not to get my little polka dots going on. All right. Let's get a couple branches on these birches, and I want you to notice on these branches, they don't just come off the side. You got to put some of them inside, coming out, not just from the sides, they come out all around the tree. So I want to get my raw umber on my liner brush and put in, and hopefully this is all dry. It's pretty much dry. I'm going to come in over here about like so and put in a branch. I'm going to put one here. Maybe another one right down here. And you know what? It can run right over top of that other birch tree, and that's cool. No problem. Maybe I'll do another one coming out this side and run it right on out. There we go. They all gotta hit their little branches. And they're darker than the trees back in the back, more pronounced. And that's also gonna help you push the trees in the back to the back. Because this darkness puts them in the foreground and the lighter things and less pronounced things will be in the back. And take that right on out of the picture. Now they don't all have to come out of over here in the middle, sort of, but I just wanted you to know that everything is not just coming out the sides. Oh, I'm going to have that one cross right over that. And like I say, these are darker, so they are going to show up more and push the other things back. Let's see if I think I have enough yet. Oh, maybe another one or two. I think I need more over here too. And don't keep them all straight. They gotta, if you got a wiggly hand, that's a good thing for these. Okay, I think we can call it a day then. So keep those brushes moving until next time.